Okay, so in this video we're going to modify this script that's on the gun. So if we just click on the gun to get to it, and we're going to open the Simpleshoot script. Okay, so you see this void shoot, it's not actually getting called from anywhere within this script. What's happening? This is actually getting called from the animation. So I'll just show you this. If we click on, as long as we've got the handgun selected, if we just click on window, animation and animation, this calls up the animation window, and we can see at this specific point in time right here we have this little white mark. This is an event. Okay, so when we click on shoot, we can see that you're able to actually call a particular function. So we've got a couple of functions there. The one that's calling is obviously shoot, which is this. Okay, so it acts very similar to buttons on the canvas, you know, on the UI. You can put any event you like anywhere you want. All right, so you can click there, and it's just this button to add an event. And as long as there is a script attached to the object that has the animation on it, you can then use your inspector in order to call that particular function from the drop down. Okay, so at that specific point in time, the character will then fire a projectile into the world. Okay, and it matches up with the animation. So in the script, we definitely want to keep this bit. Okay, what we don't want is this update. At the moment, this is dependent on the player actually pressing the fire button in order to get this animated, this set trigger to fire. Just to explain how that's working, if we click on the handgun, we can see that we have a trigger that is fire. Okay, and when fire is triggered, it moves from idle to shooting. Okay, if you can see that. And then this one doesn't have a condition, it's simply as soon as it's finished shooting, as soon as it's done that, it goes back to normal again. Okay, so what we're going to do is under the start, we're actually going to use a condition, an item called invoke repeating. To invoke something is to add a slight pause before you actually start the event. To invoke repeat is to add a slight pause and then repeat that function over and over again. Okay, and that's exactly what we want. So invoke repeating. We're going to create a new function below, which we're going to call shooting. So shooting, and then we need to tell it float time and float repeat rate. So we want it to do it pretty quick, so 0.1f, and then we want it to repeat every 0.43 seconds. The reason why that number is there is because that is the length of the animation. Okay, so this will repeat that shooting function over and over again. So let's go down to the bottom, and we're going to create this shooting function. Okay, we're going to have a variable called canShoot, which we're going to check if it is equal to true before doing anything else. So let's create that canShoot at the top. So this one is going to be a private, oh sorry, not a private, this one's actually public. It's going to be a public static boolean called canShoot. Now obviously this particular variable can be spoken to by any other script because it's static. This is good if you only have one character in your game that has a gun. If you have hundreds of characters with guns, not so good, because every one of them will begin firing once you call a static variable. Okay, but we only have one, so it's fine. Now we're going to say if save script.bullets is greater than 0. Now we've not created the bullets yet. Is greater than 0. Okay, so we need to create that. That is going to store how many bullets are left in the gun. So let's just save this for now, and let's go over to our save script, which I haven't got open at the moment. So assets, my script, and save script. Okay, probably put it at the bottom here. So public static, and it's going to be an integer, and we'll call it bullets. Now it's up to you to decide how many bullets you start with. I'm going to say that we start with about 8 bullets. Okay, so if savescript.bullets is greater than 0, which it currently is, it's at 8, then we're going to get this component animator set trigger and fire. Alright, so that's going to be able to change animation. So now bear in mind it's not dependent on the player actually pressing the fire button, but it's going to be repeated every 0.43 seconds as long as can shoot is equal to true and bullets are greater than 0. So now we need to ask ourselves if savescript dot have been shot, which is going to be a boolean, is equal to the value of true. Alright, so this is only going to be triggered when the actual bullet itself hits the player. So we're going to have to create that one. So back over to the save script, public static of a type boolean have been shot, and it's equal to false to begin with because we don't want to instantly die. Back over to this Simpleshoot. Now we need to switch on this this blood effect. So if I come back over to the game, we need to switch this on to show an indication that we've actually been shot. So we need to put in a public, it's of type game object, and we're going to call it hurt UI, the same as we did last time. Okay, so now we're going to switch that on. Hurt UI dot game object dot set active to true. There we go, and instantly we're going to change this save script have been shot back to false. So it's only going to register for one frame. I've put script instead of script. You don't want that constantly running over and over again. You only want to register it once, and then obviously it will play that animation once. Okay, great. So that is going to handle the actual changing of the animation, which means we now no longer need an update at all. So we can now delete that. Now under the void shoot, we do want a game object of bullet, so we can uncomment that. The bullet is going to be instantiated, so we can uncomment that, and we do want to access the rigid body on the bullet and give it some force. All right, that's all good. We definitely want this because this is the muzzle flash. But what I don't want is this casing prefab. Okay, because I mean it's not bad. It basically just creates the casing that flies off at a certain angle. I don't think it's necessary, to be honest. So I'm just going to get rid of all of the casing release section there. So we're left with void shoot. Okay, so now what we're going to do is inside of here we're going to say save script. Actually, I'm putting this in the wrong location. Let me just get rid of that. It should be after the bullet has been spawned. Save script dot bullets minus equals 1. Okay, so in other words, it takes 1 off the bullets. You can also do it this way. You can put minus minus, which also minuses 1. But just for the sake of actually understanding what it's doing, I'm going to leave it at minus equals 1. And that way it makes sense when you're reading it. And we have to make sure that bullets never go below 0. So if save script dot bullets are less than or equal to 0, then we're simply going to set save script dot bullets to 0. Save script dot bullets equals 0. Okay, great. And Now what we want to do is actually destroy the bullet and the temp flash after they've been created. So we're going to say destroy bullet. Okay, and it's going to be after around 2 seconds. Okay, because we don't want to leave the bullets in the scene, otherwise obviously it's going to look unusual, and it slows your computer down, you know, if you've got bullets flying all over the place every time they've been shot. We also need to destroy this muzzle flash as well. So this one is called temp flash, and we want to do this much sooner, so this one, let's give it around 0.15 F. Okay, in fact that's too long. Okay, 0.15, there we go. So in other words, it's a fraction of a second for the actual temp flash. You can always adjust that later, that's not a problem. If it's too short or if it's too long, you can always come back and adjust that. But basically that will destroy that instantiated object. Okay, so let's save this, and that should now work to ensure that the gun begins firing at the correct time. So let's go back to the handgun and ensure that we now switch on this Simpleshoot script, and let's associate the hurt UI with this slot. Okay, so that's on the canvas and it's hurt panel.